Two. All right, guys, welcome back. Shadowverse Evolve, Burn 1, all that stuff. Another set review for Cosmic Mythos. We now are on Dragon here, as always, joined with some different faces. Obviously, Prescia is here, friend of the stream. He's been on a few different videos. But if you've been following along so far in our set review series, then you'll know our other two guests here, my two teammates from California and Houston that I top date with. We got Skaz and Shepard. You want to say hi?
Howdy.
What's up, everybody? This is Shepard.
All right. We'll just get right into Dragon here. First card here, 3-drop 3/4 Symbol of the Waterworm. At the start of your in phase, give your leader +1 health. If Overflow is active for you, give it +2 instead. And then Fanfare, if Overflow is active for you, give this follower +1 and increase your maximum play points by 1. Okay, I have no idea how to... It feels like the max play point increase is a little late, but I guess if we're dropping some big boys, this is not horrible, but the card seems okay.
Before we get too deep into this,
do we have? Because if I say this card's really bad, will people not put it in their deck? Because I don't want people to put this in their deck against me.
Wait. Before we get too deep into this, we all, I know Prescia, Shepard, and myself all know how we feel about this card. Kit, you haven't really seen much of this. How do you feel about this card?
On looking at it just by itself, I like this card, but also I can see it being absolutely not worth it just because the max play point thing not being worth it. But I also, from my understanding, is that Ramp Dragon comes back in full force in this set, and this is probably just another piece that, one, you get a heal and sit there, and I, as much as I love my opponent healing, I wish they don't ever do that. But this is also kind of shores up missing ramps or getting extra ramps in for just literally 3 play points when you start hitting Overflow anyway. So I would probably rate, if I had to rate this card out of 5, I would probably rate it about a 3.5.
I think, Kit, you might be in a call with the 3 people out of the entire Shadowverse community that are going to rate this card the highest.
5 out of 5?
No, I just highest compared to everybody else.
Okay.
This card's really good. Yeah, it's insane. It's frustrating. You play aggro into it, they drop it. It's a big body. It can remove something. It's standing. It heals them.
Mm-hmm.
It actually is a relevant threat later in the game, not because the play point increase, but because it just starts getting bigger and it comes down as a 4/5 that heals them for 2 every turn. It's just a frustrating experience to go into.
Yeah, I mean, so I've been playing Ramp Dragon a lot, testing it and stuff. I think this card is extremely strong. I do think the strongest part of it is the ramp part, though. The ability to just see 3 turns ahead and just know, okay, I basically have 10 armor, quote unquote, because I'm gonna heal 10 in the next 3 turns, because you go, okay, develop my egg or my dragon's nest, and then turn 7 you just have 6 healing out of nowhere, is really strong. But the best part of this card is being able to just go from 7 to 9, because so much stuff happens on 9. 9 can be
pretty huge.
Israfel Evo, Genesis Dragon, so that she's a threat, so you can't just leave her, or I could just kill you from 14 or even 18 if I drop 2 of these. Bahamut, of course, as well. And then just being on 9 has other combo, things. Of course, early on in the game, she's really strong against more aggressive things, more aggressive decks, because she just heals 1. She's fully statted. She can probably trade into a 2-drop or 3-drop next turn. And of course, Dragon just has really good removal already on top of that. But she's just a really, really strong card. But I do think the most important part is the ramp. If she didn't ramp, I don't think this card would be good at all. I think that the ability to skip 8 is
pretty
really
big.
Strong. It's really strong.
I think that's what makes this card so good, is that you get to skip 8, and the things you're skipping to 8 too, like when you get to play Israfel early, plus you've already healed 2, you're just on another level. The game, I played so many games playing aggressive strategies into this card, and every single time it feels worse to see this card than almost any other card of the deck that's not Flaggerate.
That makes a lot of sense. that's kind of why I rated it as high as I did for like my rating at least. Was the extra play point thing was more really important to me. I like the healing as well, but like if it didn't have the extra play point on play, then it just feels like this card is not amazing, and it's probably more like a 2.5 at best type of deal out of 5. But with all the stuff you guys are saying about being able to skip turn 8 and or 8 play points is going directly to 9, getting about, and that's kind of the range when Dragon gets to start playing all of its really ridiculous stuff. Even like, for example, Bahamut is like comes out at 9, so if Bahamut is relevant, you know, you got to drop that and blow up the board as well. It just, that seems really good. And you know, it, like I said earlier, I really like that, you know, playing this card is also like, I missed my green card because I'm not the MC Dragon player, but I have this later to kind of make up for it as well, or actually see it maybe. I feel like it's like pretty good and just adds more consistency and more bullshit basically for Dragon.
I will say, you did touch on something that I do think is important. I don't think that this is a replacement for Dragon Oracle, or like even like if you do miss Dragon Oracle, it's still going to be a really hard game, and it is skipping 7 to 9, but they're going to 8, right? Like or 7. You know, it's if they're going to 6, then it's really strong. If you're able to ramp and then get this on 7, you're probably winning that game 99% of the time. But if you have to, because fending for 7 turns until this card, 6 turns, I should say, is sometimes tough. You do have a lot of removal, but there's a lot of decks in next set that are just trying to beat your head in, you know, like, and it's Oracle is still the best card in probably in the game, but it is just still the most important card in the deck for Ramp Dragon. But this does add an extra push to not have to see 2 Oracles, you know. But yeah, I think you still it's not like 6 Oracles. It's 3 more cards that if you hit Oracle, you win even better. You know, you win even faster.
Something also important to note real quick about what you do with the mana is, like, we're talking about the 9 drops, but in Dragon, you have a lot of 3, 4, 5s, 4 counting like Dragon Warrior and stuff, that will get kind of clogged up in your hand. You're not playing discarded anymore. You're not throwing your cards away. Like, you'll go into turn 7 with resources in your hand, especially when you crack your eggs, whatever. And like getting to 9 mana lets you just have a lot more access to plays where you're double spelling or even triple spelling in a turn to just answer, whatever the problem is in front of you, that you wouldn't have had. You wouldn't have had that opportunity if you were still at 8 or 7 mana.
Yeah, I think that's all we can really say about this card. Really quick here, this is the Attack on Titan collab card. No,
the Mickey and Friends.
Yeah. Oh, wait, my bad. This is Speed Racer, right? This is X, Speed's brother. Anyway, moving on. Too old for some people. Oh, right.
Python.
Yeah.
Python is a good coding language. It's easy to pick up. The syntax is very clean. All right, Python is a 6 play point follower. It is a 6/7 stat line. On Fanfare, search your deck up for up to 10 cards and banish them. And then evolve 1 evolves it into an 8/9. And then when you evolve it, you do the same thing. So if you play plus Evo, you're taking 20 cards out of your deck, and you have a big guy. I'm just gonna start off before I say anything else about this card that I don't think it's good. But I do think that it's interesting that, in a ramp strategy, typically in games, you have this like wrong half issue where like half your deck is early game survival / ramp cards, and then the other half is like your payoffs. It's like, in theory, you're like, oh, I just take the other half out of my deck, right? But 20 cards is a lot in your 40 card deck. Like, you take 20 cards out, your chances of decking yourself have just gone
I mean, it's
so
up
much.
to. It's up to.
Oh, it's up to? Oh, I can't read. Well, that's better then. Because then you can, like, the only issue with that is a lot of your ramp cards and your early game cards in this game specifically are the cards that you still want on turn 9. Like, you still want Serpent's Wrath. You still can just cycle Dragon Oracle. You're not getting a lot of value. So if you're playing this, you're playing it for the stat line.
Oracle on 9.
Yeah, I don't think you want
No. You guys don't understand what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you don't put this in your deck to remove the Dragon Oracles. Because if you draw a Dragon Oracle, you just draw a card. Like, you just don't.
But it's
what I'm
2
saying
mana.
is, Yeah, but you're not putting Python in your deck to do that, right?
Well, I'm saying that like the reason this card would theoretically be good is because you have no chance of top decking Oracle and being down 2 mana.
Yeah, I agree. That's what I'm saying. But then what I'm saying is I don't think that is strong enough to put this in your deck to do that. Like I think all the early game cards are, because you're dragon, all have overflow, do something broken on them. Right.
I get what both sides are saying, and I agree with both sides actually. Yeah, I don't think that this card does enough on its face to warrant needing to filter the cards out of your deck. I don't think the cards are so cloggy in your deck that it's an issue enough to need this effect. I think for me, the only way I see this ever seeing play is if you are running, and this doesn't exist in the current game, but if there's like some like really specific combo strategy that you want to be running in some future set where you need to have just a few cards in your deck, this is probably great.
This is
hypothetical. It doesn't exist. This card's not good.
This is a card I wish was in Sword so I could play it along with my boy. Pressure, what's his name? Not Gawain. The one that's coming out later. Spartacus, yes. Oh, I love that deck. I wish this was in Sword. That's all I gotta say. Otherwise, I'm not very hype on the effect or anything. So like, it's like, I'm not very impressed with this Python.
I actually, this is a card I really want to test. I like the idea of this card a lot because the Ramp Dragon, and I want to say this, I want to try to say this very clearly. I don't think it's a hard deck. I think it's a deck that takes a lot of game knowledge. I think it's a deck that you have to know every card your opponent can possibly play to be able to play it well, I think.
I mean, that's pretty true of like any control deck, right?
Yeah. I just think there's a lot of people that Python I really like as a card that if you really have a mastery over knowing what cards and what situations can come up against it with your opponent, you can play this. It comes down on 6, which is pretty weak turn for Dragon because it's right before the overflow turn, right? Comes down, it's fully statted. If it evos, it's even more fully, like it's overset. And 8, 9
is a
for
good
7
evo stat,
is really, And then just being able to go, okay, well, here's up to 20 cards that I do not need for this game. And they still have to deal with this 8, 9 because you're still in range of whatever Forte, whatever. Like it's not like it's not a threat. And it's filters your deck for the cards that you'll need.
Yeah, essentially you're the reason you play this is that after, like, hopefully on turn 6 you play this or whatever, you're hoping that now every card you draw from now on is going to be a bomb that's like very impactful in your matchup. This is almost like reverse search, essentially. Like you cut your deck.
Cards are so good. Every card you draw is a bomb. Like your 1 mana removal spell that does 2 damage. Like,
but that's not true.
On turn 7, your angelic snipes now do 4 damage. Like it's not fair, man.
I mean, I know you like, but it's not true that every dragon card is a bomb. Like, Oracle does really suck after 7, and Dragon Warrior is
you
really
don't want to see
bad
Dragon Warriors
against a lot of decks.
I think you don't want to see those cards, but like for me, like I'm just gonna go back to what I said before, which is like I don't think the value of getting rid of them is there. That said, an 8, 9 is big enough that this is one of those things where you just ask the question, and if your opponent doesn't have the answer, you're going to win the game because you have an 8, 9.
Yeah, I do think if it was going from 6, 7 to 7, 8, it would be unplayable. But going to 8, 9 for 1 mana, it's kind of interesting.
All right, I also like to add, like, honestly, you say turn 6 is bad, but let's be honest. You're the main character dragon. You're gonna have Shenlong on 6. It's fine.
That's only good going second, though. That's only good going second.
Yeah, true. Well, I mean, kind of same with this, but yeah.
You do Forte on 5, Forte on 6, Forte on 7. Like,
yeah, true. Why are we reading any other cards? Yeah,
next cards. We're gonna be here for an hour at this rate. Leviathan Dragon defense form. This is all alternate Evo forms for Leviathan Dragon from set 3. To start with this one, it's a 5/7 ward that says subtract 1 from all damage dealt to this card, and at the start of your end phase, give your leader +3 health. So this is kind of a similar effect to Temple Defender from the Haven starter deck, but much bigger. Overall, I think this card's kind of bad. I probably wouldn't play this. There's maybe a world where you want like a super defensive deck where this is great, but keep in mind this thing still dies to Bane. This thing still dies to any targeted hard removal. It does not have aura. If it had aura, this card would actually be kind of insane, but it doesn't. So it's just kind of not that great. It's kind of like a bad version of Lucifer because it has no offensive. I don't know.
Listen, it's a bad version of Shenlong. It doesn't draw 2 cards and discard one on Evo, and it heals less.
And it heals less. Yeah, I'd say skip this one.
All right, next.
Levitain Dragon Blast form. Intimidate, on evolve, deal X damage to each enemy following the field. X equals twice the number of armed followers on your field. This card is terrible.
Short and to the point.
I like defense form more than this one.
Yeah, defense form is the best Levitain form.
I think defense form is not unplayable. I think the problem is that the base card is unplayable.
Yeah. All right, next card here. Me now, right? I think, yeah. Prime Dragon Keeper. So a 3-drop 1/5. Whenever another Dragoncraft follower that costs 3 or less comes in onto your field, select an enemy follower on the field and deal it 2 damage. Then deal 1 damage to its leader. Fanfare, if Overflow is active for you, give this follower +1 and Intimidate. This card sounds really scary. It's 6 health and Intimidate is kind of spooky to me because that's just like the line that becomes really hard to deal with on the health wise thing. But the other stuff that goes with it seems like it doesn't work very well with the deck already. This is probably going in more of an aggro-ish sword deck, I assume. What are you guys thinking? Sure. Yeah.
Wow, if this isn't a sword deck.
But this
I'm
sorry. Listen, we moved back to I feel so bad for sword, we need to give it some cards, all right? Dragon,
PDK, I think PDK, obviously, digital boomers will know this card. I think this card is extremely strong in this in paper. Like 3 mana 2/6 Intimidate and being able to choose what you hit is kind of the key. Obviously, I'm kind of comparing it to digital, which is not always fair, but being able to choose like I'm gonna kill that thing, is pretty strong. And I do think there's a balance you can strike of the early-ish, 3 or lower cards, but also be able to play the normal ramp strategy. And it's something I want to try. I don't think you have to go full in on aggro. And I don't think that'll be good with this deck or this card because it's only really good if you get to Overflow, in my opinion. I don't think as a 3 mana 1/5 with this effect, it's that good. I think that's mostly my take. I think it's a strong card, but I think it's going to be a kind of hard to build deck, but I still think it's going to be weaker than just playing normal Ramp Dragon.
The thing about this card, really quick, is like if this card existed in last set, I would have brought Armed Dragon to all my regionals. Let's be honest.
This card is actually cracked in Armed Dragon.
Yeah, I was gonna say like this definitely reminds me of like having some sort of later game payoff to convert your cheap Armed Dragon stuff into like actual like convertible damage. Card seems okay. I'm not thrilled with it though.
I'm glad you brought that up because like we were talking about the card that banishes cards from your deck. This does the version of that I would way rather have to like turn my cards that don't matter that much into cards that matter. The only thing that I don't like about it is that for a lot of the ramp strategies that people are going to be playing, I think the cards that cost less than 3 that you're going to put in your deck are going to be neutral. And that they're going to be like Bell Ringers and potentially some other cards that we'll get to maybe later in another set review.
Worth mentioning, a weird small little synergy we have here is actually with a card we're going to talk about later. It's a bronze called Aquanaried. It is a 2-drop and it summons a 2-drop token, so this will trigger it twice. Not even saying the card is good or necessarily the synergy is necessary, but something to keep in mind if you're looking for that sort of synergy.
All right, moving on here.
We are looking at is it Shepherd?
Shepherd, that's me. Star Phoenix, it's 3 play points for a 2/2. It evolves for 1. Whenever you play a Dragoncraft spell during your turn, you may pay 1 extra play point. If it's in your cemetery, put it into your field. So basically, it just comes back when you play a spell, and then the evolved version is 4/4 with strike, select an enemy follower, and deal it 2 damage. It's very funny that it's during your turn. because they decided to make Dragon have more quick spells than Runecraft for some reason.
Um,
And it's frustrating because for like this card is like kind of bait for me, to be honest. Like I like playing like a Phoenix based spell deck is what I do in several other card games.
I was
I
gonna say,
remember in
this is a magic
MTG.
card.
Yeah.
But like the problem with this card is that it's a magic card, and this is not
Yeah,
magic.
exactly. This
Like I
card
think
fucking sucks.
this card just doesn't convert at all to Shadowverse. It doesn't play as well as it reads. Like you read this card and you go like, oh yeah, I'm gonna kill his thing, and then I'm gonna bring it back, and I'm gonna evo it, and I'm gonna kill his other thing, and it's like you're going through so many hoops in a deck that doesn't have access to everything else it needs to get there, when instead you could just be playing the rest of the dragon cards that are just good on their face. Like Dragon Warrior is just good on its face. Forte is just good on its face. Like you don't need to get more complicated.
Agreed. Also, if you're just playing this on its face to get it into the graveyard in the first place, it's a 3-mana 2/2. It's pretty terrible. You'd really want to only discard this to the yard, but then the discard deck doesn't run a lot of spells that it casts because it's mostly just discarding stuff. So I don't know. This card's just not good.
The ideal is like you play it and then you evo it and then you kind of like maybe get a chance to kill two things and then they kill it. It just like reads so well that it's frustrating. It's not going to play as well as it reads.
Yeah, I'd say skip this one.
All right, next card.
Next up is Lightning Blast. This is a 5 cost quick spell. If you play this card for 5 more, so 10 mana total, you may play this card for 10 more or for 5 more. So for 10 mana total, if you do play it for that much, banish each other follower on the field. Otherwise, select an enemy follower on the field and banish it. So it's 5 mana, banish 1 follower, or 10 mana, banish all enemy followers. Thoughts?
Dragon already has a 3 mana destroy anything and a 5 mana destroy everything.
So the really sad thing about this card, which just is the only chance it had any play, was you do have to target something and then pay the 5. The way it's worded is like really weird because but basically you can't banish Aegis without.
That's crazy.
Yeah, unless there's something for you to target.
That's the only thing it had any chance of being played, was if it could banish Aegis, but it can't, so it's not good.
All right, card sucks. Moving on. Here is the
it was worth
Attack on
mentioning,
Titan
though.
version, and then
It is worth mentioning that it is a quick spell. So this is the only quick board wipe in the game.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah,
but
your opponent spends all their mana and then you board wipe.
But you have 10 open, so they're gonna know.
You're like, wow, you have 8 cards in
Yeah.
hand.
dang,
You have 8 cards in hand?
if there was only a flash deck in this game, I would be playing this.
Yeah.
All right, next card here.
All right, Venomous Puke Worm. I love the name of this card. At the start of your main phase, discard a card. Fanfare, discard a card. I don't know, man. It's a 4 mana 6/7, but I don't know.
Slackrim or this? Really quick, what are we playing?
Which one?
Was it Slackrim Golem or whatever? What was that Golem card where you like discard a card at random and take 3 damage?
Oh, that card's sick because it's a 3 mana 6/5. This is only a 3 mana 4 mana 6/7.
The neutral or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm playing this card because with that art and a name like Venomous Puke
Puke
Worm,
Worm.
How could you lose?
dude, that's so shepherd coded. Like, you know, like
The
that's
art
kind
is sick,
of
honestly.
The art is very good.
Anyway, skip this card.
All right, next card. What is this? 5-drop 5/5 Cetus? Is that how you say that?
Yeah,
Cetus,
something like
whatever. Evolve for 1. It becomes a 6/6 and on evolve destroy each of the lowest cost enemy followers on the field. Is it if everything on the enemy field is 2 cost, they all die, right? Is that how this works? Okay.
Correct.
Dragon stealing Haven's stuff from digital. Like this is a Haven. There was a Haven card that did something similar to this.
All right, so this is how you. This is a card that actually answers Aegis. You don't have to target, right?
No, because it can't be
Oh,
destroyed.
it can't be destroyed! Aegis is broken, guys.
Okay.
No
Card
sucks.
sucks, Dragon player.
There's 2 things that I want to say about this card. First of all, I love cards that are like it destroys everything that you don't care about and leaves the things you do care about.
Well, no, but that's not how it
But
works.
you get a 6. But thankfully, you do get a 6/6 to swing in, and also you'll get a lot of value. 2, I want to point out this is one of the rare left to right evos.
Oh, true.
Ooh,
So that
busted.
they don't face each other.
Oh,
yeah,
true. They're not talking.
I think I'm like, I don't know what's up with the art. They gave him the wrong direction. Like you're supposed to go the other way when you Evo.
This card just doesn't seem very playable. I probably wouldn't play this. I don't know about you guys.
No.
No.
All right. Next card. Shepard.
Dragon Newt Fist. 2 mana for a spell. If it's discarded, put it in your EX area, and it's select an enemy follower and deal it 3 damage. Card's really interesting because it is actually a like really reasonable spell in your discard deck. But everything in this game with all the archetypes and they're all kind of parasitic. It's like I don't think discard's where I want to be. But if I am discarding cards, this is one that I would like to discard.
Yeah, I think this is one of the funny. The digital has this all the time, where it's like they release all these cool cards, and it's like, whoa, is this new deck going to be good? And they release one card that supports an old deck, and like this card might be better than Ramp, honestly, because of this card. I think this card's already still super, super insane. I think this card kind of puts it over the edge, being able to discard a card that doesn't go away, and that's what your 9th card that can do that in the deck is really strong. I think this card is insane. I think this card really underratedly supports discard. Yeah, I think this card's actually really, really good.
Yeah, card seems sweet.
Yeah, seems solid. It looks like a starter launcher for the art. But moving on to the next card.
We have Divine Tiger.
Yes, this is the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse version of Dragon.
Oh, I already looked at that one. Never mind.
Mouse Clubhouse.
Dragon Rearer Matilda. This is a 1-mana 1/2 with activate for 1 mana. You activate it for 1 mana, you tap it. Put this card into your cemetery. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck. You may reveal a Dragoncraft follower that costs 3 play points or less from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. So you're essentially paying 2 mana for a look at the top 3 and get a cheap Dragoncraft follower to your hand. This, just when I was reading the set earlier, looked like one of the worst cards I've ever seen. I'm not sure if you guys feel that way, but this card seems absolutely terrible.
I actually, in my mind, thought that this card said put into play.
Yeah, that's what I thought it would be.
Read it, and then the moment that you said into your hand, I just like my entire world shattered. I was like, oh, this is bad.
This card is unplayable.
It's just for PDK. It's just a 2-mana spell that activates PDK. That's all it is.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I don't think that's worth it.
Which isn't good. Yeah. It's not good. That's not
it's
good.
Fair.
I think if I could put 9 PDKs in my deck, maybe I would.
I think if you see this card, they're playing full on PDK, but it's not good.
I think if this just came in and then sacked for free, I'd be like, okay, yeah, I like it. 1 mana, little scry effect. I like it. It's not that. It's 2 mana. I don't like it. I think it's bad.
I think the scary part is if it's 1 mana, like I think you'd play that in every dragon deck.
Yeah, that's probably not necessarily true. I don't know how many dragon decks have 3 or less costs. I guess like Dragon Warriors are pretty common, but I feel like this would miss in a lot of decks. You only get the top 3. That's not that many.
I didn't realize it was 3 or less. My bad. No, this card's terrible.
This card seems really bad.
Yeah. My bad. That's my bad.
The value of you can't even swing for 1 and then crack it.
No,
you gotta engage.
You get nothing out of it. You can't block. Like it doesn't eat any damage, and then you get to sack it. Like this card is just terrible.
Yeah, this is bad.
If it was look at the top 5, maybe. If it was cost 5 or less, maybe. But it's so restrictive and it's just so bad.
It's followers, so
it's not even spells.
You crack this and you move 2 of your oracles that you were going to draw to the bottom of your deck, and you proceed to move to scoop phase.
This card is so bad. Don't play this card.
Next card.
All right. 2 mana, 0/1 Aqua Nereid. Ward, fanfare summon a Megalorca token, which is a 2 mana, or just a 2 mana 2/2. If Overflow is active, give it Storm. This is the card Skaz, of course, brought up earlier. This card's really good with PDK. It's also just not that bad of a card in general. You would never play it in any other deck that doesn't have PDK. But if you don't have PDK on the board and you play this on 2, I think it's fine. It's a fine card. It's a fine card.
Yeah, I think this card's honestly relatively playable. It's 2 mana for 2 bodies, one of which is going to jam up the board, one of which is a 2/2 for 2, which could get Storm. Card's just on rate. I'm not upset with this card. I mean, it's a solid 2.5 out of 5. It needs support to be playable, but the support kind of seems like it might be there, so it seems okay.
I'm gonna preface this with I'm bad at this game, but I really like cards like this. They're anytime I can just put an annoying ward in place, I actually really value that because it's just like makes your opponent's entire combat step so tricky.
Totally agreed. Yeah, especially for this cheap.
Yeah.
All right.
Unfortunately, this dies to Dolor Blade Demon, so I'm gonna have to actually downrate it.
Busted. All right, next card here. Is it me? Or
It's you.
I think
okay,
we're off the
it's
script at this point.
yeah, 3 drop. What is it? Hippocampus? 3 drop
Hippocampus.
1/5. Evos for 4 has ward. It becomes a 7/7.
It's a really worse version of Grimnir.
All
I
right.
think this card's sick. I don't know.
Rules.
I think this card's awesome. Yeah, this card is so cool.
Listen, you put it in your deck, right? And then there's no Oracle text in this game. No one's gonna remember what this card does, and they're gonna be really afraid the entire time.
Yeah. By the way, I want to point out that it loses ward when it evolves.
Well, if it had ward, I think this card would be really actually good, not ironic.
pretty
Like, I think this card would be really good.
I mean, so it goes without saying this thing does curve perfectly. You drop it for 3, you evo it for 4. I don't think it's good, but like, I mean, if someone drops this on me on turn 3, I have to respect it. Like, it has to be taken care of, or I'm going to deal it with a 7/7 next turn, and it can swing face immediately because it was already in play from the
Oh,
previous
this
turn.
is another secret forte. All right, got it.
Yeah,
But
and
it's also just like, if you want to play this card, just play Force and play Ancient Elf. That's gonna get this off more consistently.
pretty much. But you're not like you're in Dragon, and like this is an option. You know, like it's just 5 health is hard to get through. Like, not a lot of people can deal with 5 health on 3. Like this, someone's gonna die to this, and or no one will, because no one will play it. But either way, like it's interesting at the very least.
I think I actually am a little sad that this card is just so overshadowed by a neutral spell that comes out this set, Fafnir. Because I don't think it's
Grimnir. That's what I said
Grimnir.
earlier.
Grimnir,
Yeah, that's what
not
I said
Fafnir.
earlier, yeah.
Yeah, this is kind of worse Grimnir.
And,
That's
and
what
it's so sad because like if I want to play this like 3 mana, like gum up the board and then threaten something later, it's like, what are my choices? Get a 7/7 or wipe the board and dome my opponent.
Yeah. Yeah, I should put a disclaimer on my description of this, is that I'm trying to see if this is at all good anywhere. I don't think it is, but you know, I want it to be. It's cool.
All right, next card.
Galed Berserker. We got a 6 play point, 6/7. It's got rush, and whenever it takes damage, give it +2/+2. It's a Hearthstone card, man.
True.
Kind of true.
You know, I'm not actually giving this card a lot of thought. I kind of just dismissed it. And let me know if I should go back and think about it more, because right now my brain is like, I don't even want to think about this.
All
I
right.
feel
Mana
like
bronze.
I feel like this is not what you want to be doing on 6 mana. But then again, like, it kind of restores some of the damage it takes, and then it just grows and gets bigger. So like the turn you play it, it removes something, and then the next turn it's threatening a lot of damage. Maybe
So many-
playable, just not very good.
So many good 5s, 6s, and 7s. It's like I just
Yeah,
can't
like
imagine.
I'd rather just
Yeah.
Forte.
This card in Open 8 busted. All right, next card.
Yeah.
True. Yeah, next up is our limited set review, by the way.
Yeah. All right, Dragon's Nest. This one's going to be definitely a big player. It's 1 mana amulet. Activate, engage this card, put this card into your cemetery, give your leader 2 health, and if Overflow is active for you, draw a card. Card's
this is
great.
The
This
best
card
dragon
is
in the
absurdly
set.
strong.
Card's
This card is
phenomenal.
absurdly strong.
Not even
This card
close.
is
It's just the
insanely
best.
strong.
It's the best dragon card in the set.
We
Like,
should
It's really strong.
we should be clarifying when we've been saying crack your eggs previously. We're not talking about the weird Fable
Yeah,
Dragon
we're
deck.
talking about this.
We're
one.
talking about this card. Yeah, Dragon's Nest, very good. Very
Sure.
good.
With this effect, I can guarantee you in those eggs are baby shenlongs. Yeah, card is very good. Is there much more to say?
No, I mean, 1 mana, heal 2, draw a card.
yeah,
God
It's-
bless.
it cycles. It just like gets you through your deck faster. It heals, and it's honestly, it's not the heal 2 that matters. It's the fact that it's the heal 2 on top of all of the other ways that Ramp Dragon has to heal now.
Yeah.
And you're just from all these different sources drowning your opponent in. You're gonna heal 4 off your Dragon's Nest. You're gonna heal off of Olivia. You're gonna heal off your Sybils, and you're basically starting as Ramp Dragon your games at like 33, 35 defense.
Yeah, I just want to basically highlight the thought of this is Dark Offering for Dragon. It's not quite as much healing. It's one less, but it's also requiring less setup. Card's really good.
I like this card a lot more than Dark Offering.
Same. All right, that kind
Like I
of.
said,
Oh,
Dark
yeah.
Offering does have some cool random upsides. So like let's not talk shit about Dark Offering. We love Dark
All
Offering.
right, dude.
Okay.
The Haven player in here has
I'll
to defend
throw
his
hands.
craft. Got it.
Anyone
Oh,
talks
no.
dirty about my Dark Offering. But this card's insane.
Yeah.
I think we've made that abundantly clear.
All
But
right.
yeah, that's it for Dragon.
Yeah, that's it. We're moving on after this to Abysscraft, I believe. So we'll see you guys in that video. Thanks again for Pressure joining. He had to actually leave in the last second here, so I'm going to say goodbye for him. Goodbye, everyone. All right, that was Pressure saying goodbye.
Oh, bye, Pressure.
Thanks to Pressure, Skaz, and Shepard for joining in the set review. We'll see you guys in the next video. Later, everyone.
Like, comment, and subscribe.
Oh, yeah, like, comment, subscribe, and all that. Goodbye.